When I first started to investigate the paranormal, I noticed that orb activity seemed to be prevalent prior to and sometimes during a spiritual event. As a consequence, this somewhat undervalued phenomena salivated my interest, as many people, and not always paranormal investigators, had decided that orbs were indeed dust motes and not worthy of further investigation. In fact, it seems to have become cool to dismiss this activity. Indeed, many skeptics often quoted that scientific evidence existed which proved beyond all reasonable doubt that this was the case. Some academics even went further to say that no scientist worth their salt would support orbs as spiritual entities, as in the opinion of the likes of Richard Dawkins, God did not exist, and therefore paranormal activity could not exist. Conversely, a similar attitude prevails among some religious people that all spiritual activity is the work of the devil, as simply there is only one ghost, and that is the Holy Ghost. So therefore, and logically, all paranormal activity must be evil. Both two differing points of view, and yet converging to the same ill-founded logic. I therefore decided firstly to find evidence of this alleged empirical truth, and further to monitor spiritual activity in my own home, which is very active. As I expected, I could find no evidence that disproved orb phenomena, but equally I could find no absolute proof that orbs as spiritual anomalies existed either. However, I did discover that Dr. Klaus Heimann, a former research professor at Stanford University and researcher in materials science for NASA, the American Space Agency, said, "There is no doubt in my mind that the orbs may well be one of the most significant outside of this reality phenomena mankind at large has ever witnessed." And together with Dr. Michael Ledwith, an Irish professor of theology, both co-wrote a book of their studies called The Orb Project, which was released a few years ago. Some of their findings parallels to my own research, which I will discuss later. One of my obvious initial difficulties was separating dust and bugs from spiritual orbs. That is to say, how can I prove orbs to be genuinely spiritual, and how can I show dust and bugs as being entirely explainable? Well, the easiest to explain away are bugs. Insect movement tends to swagger from side to side as it moves, and of course they are only seasonally active due to the winter cold. Dust is always momentary and occurs when feet rake up a very dusty floor, and it tends to move fast initially and then slows down into any particular direction. Real orb activity appears quickly from any direction and seems to form immediately leaves an object to the point it seemingly melts away into a wall or floor. It also moves with purpose and often in a direct line. But these examples do not really explain what orb phenomena is. As I said earlier, orbs are a prequel to a spiritual occurrence. Early in my investigations, I realized that I could communicate directly with them, and also that I could get them to interact with me. Oh, thank you. Oh, that was beautiful. Could you do that again, please? Oh yes, that's fantastic. Right by my feet. The location for the core area of research was the master bedroom in my own home. The house was ideally suited for these experiments for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's a detached property with a house on one side and a public footpath and church on the other. Secondly, the only occupants of the house are myself and 2 cats. And thirdly, the master bedroom overlooks the rear garden, and that backs onto other gardens, with the nearest houses being some distance away. These points are important to address simply to preclude any excuse on orb-related movement to be from an adjoining neighbour or perhaps passing traffic. The most obvious question people ask is simply, if orbs aren't always dust or bugs, what are they? I believe they are the departed energy of people in spirit. Think of the human body as a suit or even a machine. When it ceases to function, the soul, or should I say the thinking processes that makes us as unique entities, leaves the body to roam as pure energy. An example often experienced by investigators or those subjected to it is that they often feel the room growing colder. This is caused by the energy as it moves to envelop the area by the process of thought. This energy, I deduce from exposure to it, is that in essence a pure thought form. Quite often one may see many orbs, but this is simply one entity spreading out, thus creating the appearance of many entities. Another discovery I made from my own home is that the orb process is just one of a number of processes that can follow their initial appearance. Sometimes the orbs will dissolve into a fine expanding mist, which can sometimes take shape or definition as in these examples, and other times it can materialize into a solid object. Take these 3 pictures taken very recently on a haunted airfield. Although they appear misty in composure, they actually reflected back light from a digital still camera before slowly fading and dissolving into a mass of orbs as indicated here. Another phenomenon I also discovered through research in my own home is that orbs can sometimes appear in a non-orb shape. This was probably the most exciting discovery I had made, as it shows from all these clips taken over a number of years that a spiritual entity can more or less retain the same shape. This particular spiritual entity is of a child spirit who formerly lived in the house. She often appears in this pattern frequently, but is generally shy of other human activity. And lastly, the most significant of all my discoveries actually relates to me personally. When working in total darkness, I have gradually been able to see more spiritual activity without the aid of infrared light. In both these recent clips, you can see quite clearly that I can see spiritual activity, which is recorded on camera.
Just got one there. The camera went out of focus first, and then it's there. It is again.
Yeah, I just see. Hang on, guys. There's something going on there. I just see flashes there.
Oh, I've just got 2 come right across the.
Yeah, I actually physically saw
There's another
2
one.
flashes.
See it coming up?
No, I can't see that one. I saw the 2 flashes down there. It was by the balcony. The rail. Yeah, I should see one over there.
There's another one straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one coming up here. Very angry man. There's orbs. I've seen 3 here flashing.
I have them on the camera.
You got those, did you?
They're right in front of you.
Yeah. You can see them.
Flashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And above the doorway. So what do I see that others cannot? I can spot orbs in their true form, which are dots and sometimes larger balls of red light energy. Seeing them as they naturally appear made me realize what we see on camera as white balls of energy is actually a flaw in the camera lenses. The inner core of an orb can sometimes be seen as a white dot surrounded by opaque white light. I believe the camera is actually picking up a radiation surrounding the light dots and is magnifying them into a larger shape. Sometimes the orb can appear without the aura surrounding it, as in this clip here, and also in this earlier clip here. Contrary to some negatively minded viewers, this is not the product of a laser beam. On a final note, I have read that different colours apparently denote the temperament or personality of an orb. That, as far as I can see, is complete nonsense. I have experienced negative energy that manifested itself as a white orb activity, and equally I have experienced the opposite as a black or grey energy. Coloured orbs are like human beings. They come in all shades and sizes as in life, and should not be viewed as being negative or positive, simply being based upon their colour or composition. And as a final note, I have yet to read of orbs causing physical harm. I hope this guide on my research will benefit those that takes this phenomena seriously. The only thing that stops the human race elevating itself is ignorance and stupidity. If you are still skeptical, then nothing will ever change your viewpoint, and my work should be viewed as a guide for those that wish to advance their learning and understanding of this particular phenomena.